It's my pleasure to be recording this video for the Connection Catalyst, I will call it, conference by LinkedIn Local Ife. Indeed, I had wanted to be physically present at Obafemi, my alma mater, Obafemi Agbaje University. But I have some personal reasons for not being present. I hope that this video will deliver my message as effectively as I would have loved to do it in person. So the theme of the conference is, as I mentioned earlier, Connection Catalyst, Igniting Careers Through Networks. It focuses on networks. LinkedIn, obviously, is about networks. So I will talk about networks, relationships, but I will talk about slightly more than that. I've titled my presentation Strategic Positioning. Build your profile, your network, and your brand. What I want to do is in effect applying the principles, concepts, frameworks of business strategy, some of them, to personal strategy, individual strategy. And because my audience is principally younger people who still have the time to shape their lives and careers based on those principles, I think it would find value if you reflect and if you execute based on the concepts and principles I will share with you. Businesses use strategy to shape their success. There's no business of any significance that does not apply the principles of strategy, the concepts of business strategy. My hypothesis, or my thesis to you, my audience, is that you can benefit from applying some of those frameworks and concepts and strategy to your own lives. And that because you are still in an early stage of life, about to launch into the world, this is probably the best time you can hear this message. So what is strategy? My favorite definition of strategy says it's the choice of a future for a company, in this case an individual, and of a way to reach that future, understood as a plan or pattern that coordinates, unifies, and integrates the individual's decisions and actions. It's about you ensuring that your future is not a coincidence, an accident, or happenstance. It's about you making the choices that shape and determine your future. And how to reach that desired future. So it's not enough to have a choice of a future, but there must be a pathway to that future. Understood as a plan. So yes, you must have a plan. Or a pattern. You must have a pattern of behavior, a consistent pattern of behavior that coordinates, unifies, and integrates your decisions and actions. The fact that the last thing in that definition is actions means it is important to execute, to act, not just to think and plan and have a desired future, but that you must execute on those choices that you make. Strategy is the overarching plan for marshalling an individual's success in an uncertain environment. So there is uncertainty. To get into university, you have to pass WAEC, you have to pass JAM, you have to pass all your exams to graduate, you have to get a good degree. All of those are uncertainties, challenges, obstacles on the way. But you must have a plan and you must execute it. And those choices must fit together in some way. There must be some coherence, consistency, some fit in the choices that you make. And what is the essence of having a plan and a strategy for your life? So that at the end of the day, in the context of businesses, they are aiming for sustainable competitive advantage. Perhaps regarding our lives, we are not necessarily competing with anybody, but we want to be fulfilled at the end of the day in the choices that we make. You may apply strategy. We know we apply strategy in the context. We know that strategy emanated from the context of military. The word strategos in Greek meant the art of the general. So the soldiers, the military taught us strategy, and then nations took it, and then businesses took it. But my hypothesis, as I said earlier, is that you can apply some of these frameworks, if not all, to your life, for your benefit and for your enduring happiness. We of course understand strategy in the context of sports. Most people can relate to strategy in the context of football. Watching the league for a whole season, or watching the World Cup start with 42 nations and end up with 2 on the final day. And those who end up on that final day didn't get there by happenstance. They had a plan, they had a team, they had a strategy, they built tactics into their strategy. And at the end of the day, of course, they may have had some luck. Serendipity, we call it in the context of strategy. Or maybe grace and favor, a child of God might call it. So, strategy does not discount the unknown, and I certainly do not. But you give yourself a good chance, when you have a plan. And when you have applied yourself to that plan, and when you have developed a pattern of behavior that is profitable and consistent. There are 5 ways you can think of strategy. I'm not offering definitions anymore. I'm just saying, in what context does strategy apply? Obviously, the first context is planning. You must have a plan. You must think about the future. When you enter in year 1, you must think, what class of degree do I want to come out with? I want the first one. I want the 2-1. It matters, because the person who secures a first class or a 2-1 immediately secures an advantage over the rest of his peers. And it's not enough to just say in year 1 that I want a 2-1 for the first class. That's not the plan. That's the choice of the future. But how to reach that plan? What to put in? What is required to earn that result? Actually, the plan goes even earlier than when you enter. Why are you studying that subject? What do you see? How do you see yourself applying the things you have studied to your success in life? What do you want to make of that certificate when you eventually get it? Do you have a grand idea of where that certificate fits into the plan for your life? And even when the certificate, maybe you made poor decisions earlier, what then do you plan? How then do you think of your future? There's nothing you think that cannot be made manifest. There's no plan that you work on, that you desire, that you put your thoughts and energies into, that cannot bring forth good fruits, good manifestation. So strategy is planning. So when I say apply strategic principles to your life, the first interpretation is have a plan, a good plan, a well thought out plan, a carefully thought out plan. Then you can think of strategy as ploys. You know, the plan is 4 years time I want to graduate with a first class or a 2-1. Or I want to change my course. Or I want to add some skills to the learning I'm going to get in university. Whatever your plan is, have a plan. But then, in the short term, there are things called tactics. So one day, something happens you did not anticipate. You develop tactics to deal with those circumstances. So, tactic is another word. Ploy is another word for tactic. And so, strategy is the long term, but it also has some short terms in between them. And there are things that happen in the short term that individuals and businesses and nations must respond to. So let me give an example. Maybe Guinness has a strategy to do something in the market, but then Nigerian Breweries brings a product that causes it some replanning or some tactics. So a course you wanted to do that was integral to your plan is not going to be taught in that year that you were supposed to take it because there's no lecturer. What do you then do? What tactic do you come up with? How do you compensate for that course? What do you do? Or you just give up? That's the idea behind tactics or ploys. I have mentioned the word pattern, a pattern of behavior. Strategy is not just a plan, it's also a pattern of behavior. A consistent pattern of behavior. You must build a consistent, profitable pattern of behavior. Strategy is not necessarily what you plan. It is actually what you do. And it's what you do consistently that produces a pattern of behavior, which is then your real strategy. So you must have a consistent pattern of behavior that is profitable. You cannot sow unprofitable seed and get good rewards. So what do you do? How do you act consistently? Do you act with discipline? You want a first class, but you need only 2 weeks to the exam. So that's a false pattern of behavior. You want to master some skills until you graduate, and you're already in year 3, but you've not mastered any skill. That's a wish, and a wish is not a strategy. You can think of strategy as positioning. How do you position yourself? How do you, in the marketplace, what are you known for? What do you project yourself as? What brand are you building? Well, when the people want to describe you, how will they describe you? What was your reputation? Those are all elements of positioning. You can choose your positioning. You can choose how the world regards you. You can choose what you are known for. You can position yourself as that creative-minded young man who can be relied on to accomplish tasks. You can position yourself as a thinker. You can position yourself as a good brand. Or by your actions or inactions, at a very early age, you can position yourself as somebody who cannot be relied on, who is of poor character, who is of poor will, who is indisciplined. And when you position yourself like that from university, it might be difficult, at least for those who met you in university and who will speak about you in future, to describe you in a different way. When we talk about positioning in the context of businesses, you can understand, for instance, that Lexus is positioned as a high-end car. You can understand that Toyota is for a cost-effective user. Maybe not in these days in Nigeria at current exchange rates, then become 40 million naira here, even Toyota Corolla. But in international markets, the Toyota Corolla is a low-end car for the cost-conscious person. But you know that a BMW is positioned differently, and a Rolls-Royce is positioned differently, and a Tata vehicle may be positioned differently. That's what I refer to as positioning. Choose how and where you position yourself. Don't let it be done by others. Don't let others define you. And if you're not careful about your brand and about your essence, others will position. And may position you to your eternal destruction. They may call you NFA. They may call you, and that nickname may stick with you till you are an old man. Finally, you can think of strategy as perspective. You know, companies have vision statements, mission statements, and then they have values. What's your perspective? What's your worldview? What's your culture? What's your way of behavior? What do you believe in? Are you an ethical person? Those things matter. Are you a person of integrity? Do people recognize you as a person of integrity? Are you viewed as serious-minded and focused? Your perspective on life is part of your strategy. It must be positive. It must be based on good character. It must be based on positive values. It must be based on integrity. So you can build a reputation as a person of integrity. Worldview. So I've given 5 P's for strategy, which I am asking you as individuals to apply into your lives. Not just for companies and nations, but as an individual that wants to build a successful brand and network and strategically position yourself for success. You must understand those 5 P's: planning, ploys, pattern, positioning, and perspectives, and execute your life's journey accordingly. In ending the definitional aspect of this, which is already containing some strong concepts and principles that you can apply, I think of strategy as thinking in a comprehensive and integrated manner about the external and internal environment. That's for a company. But for an individual, yes, it's the environment in which you are determined to succeed. And yourself, your internal, your person, your attributes, your weaknesses and your strengths, the profile that you build. And then understanding who you are, what the environment is, what society really is, what the economy is, etc. And designing an approach for yourself that optimizes your choices and that helps you achieve your objectives and implement, and then of course executing that. I mentioned ploys, which the other synonym for is tactics. It is important to differentiate between strategy and tactics. I don't want people living here or leaving this lecture and learning to become tacticians rather than applying strategy to their life. Strategy is comprehensive. You must think comprehensively, long term. You must think in an integrated manner. You must be proactive in your thinking. So strategy is long term, tactics are short term. That was the explanation I gave. So what you want to do is be thinking fairly long term. As you enter the university, start thinking, what do I want to do at this? Why am I here? What do I, as you are approaching second year, third year, you start thinking, what will I do? What do I plan to do outside when I leave this? You start thinking. You think about the outside world. investigate, you research, you ask questions, you seek counsel, you understand the external world. When you enter the workplace, you start thinking, what career am I trying to build? The strategist always thinks long term, 4, 5, 10 years. But he just doesn't think long term, he acts long term. And he does not just think and plan, but he executes. And that's what makes successful strategy. I said strategy is the choice of the future. Companies try to choose their future. They tell you we will have revenues of 2.5 billion by 2028. That's a statement completely about the future. They want to make that choice. They just don't want to be going along. And we'll see where we get there. The individuals who run their life on the basis of we will see when we get there. When we reach that bridge, we will cross. So strategies don't wait to reach the bridge. They try to find out about the bridge before they get there. They try to develop the competencies required to cross the bridge by the time they get there. They understand the nature of the bridge and how long it will take them to cross the bridge. So that when they get there, they are mentally prepared and they are physically and in terms of competencies and approach, they are prepared to cross that bridge. So companies talk about vision. They talk about mission. These are our choices about the future. Our vision is to be the best integrated supplier of machinery in Africa. I completely made that up. Purpose. What purpose? Why are we establishing this company? And then they talk about strategic intent. That made earlier strategic intent. By 2028, we will be the best financial institution in Africa. It's a choice about 5 years down the line. This is where this organization will be. They make objectives. They set goals. They set targets. These are all applicable to individuals as well, obviously. So what's your vision for 25 years time? Long after you left this, do you have a vision? Have you articulated your life's vision? Where you would like to be in 25, 30, 50 years time? What you would like to have achieved? The kind of family you will have, the type of career you want. Articulate a vision. You can revise it as you go, as you have more information, but plan. Think. Articulate. Write down your vision and your mission. Why are you on earth? Why are you on earth? Even the Bible counsels you to articulate your vision. Because without a vision, the people perish. And the Bible says, write it down. So what's your vision and your mission? What's your purpose on earth? What's your essence? Why were you created? And what must you do on the face of the earth before you do it? And you must not wait till you are an old man before you do that. This is actually the best time to begin to articulate your purpose. And then what's your strategic intent? That is different. That one is clear. 5 years time, I want to be, first, when you enter university, your strategic intent should define, I want to graduate with type of career, the type of class of degree, the course I want to have studied. If I'm getting to the course that I realize I don't want to study, a strategic intent can be to change my course of study and then graduate with a 2-1 or a first class in this field. And then when you're getting out of university, you begin to set new intent. In 5 years' time, I would like to have gained expertise in this activity. I would like to have acquired my ICANN degree. I would like to have earned a master's and a PhD in law. I would like to, what in the medium term, 3 to 5 years, would you like to achieve? Set it up. Measurable things and hold yourself to account. The way businesses hold themselves, the CEO, their managers to account for the strategic intent of the company. So what is your strategic intent? Everyone, as you listen to it, go and think about it, go and articulate it. Define your vision, define your mission, define your values. I would live with integrity. I would develop myself into a leader. I would be compassionate. Define those values that will guide you, or else it will be the end justifies the means. I can still beg or plunder to do it, which will undermine your integrity and reputation and come to haunt you for the rest of your life. In life, businesses make trade-offs. It's one of the principles of strategy. You know, you can't be all things to all men. So businesses make choices about what they will trade off. Individuals must also make trade-offs. For instance, you might have to make a trade-off between watching every European English Premier League game and preparing for your exams. That's a trade-off. You like football. You like the games. You enjoy it. It inspires you, it motivates you. But you have to make a trade-off between watching all of the games, or some of the games, or most of the games, and getting a good deal. And there are many other trade-offs you have to make, peculiar to individuals. How much time do you want to spend on entertainment and leisure? How much time do you want to invest? What do you want to do with your money? Those are all trade-offs that you will make, both as a student and as a worker and as somebody who is building a career. There's a tool, very easily available tool, known to businesses, and it's called SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that are presenting themselves to you? And what are the threats that are endangering or that risk that present that could undermine your success? Individuals and SWOT analysis is used as a tool of current position assessment. Where are we today? Organizations want to know where they are today. And some people describe strategy as 3 activities: determining where you are today, determining where you want to be, the vision or the strategic intent, and then determining how you are going to get there. And individuals should do that too. You know, to yourself be true. Know who you are. You can't improve if you don't know who you are. So do your own personal SWOT analysis and be true to yourself. What are my strengths? That's an important question. And to be true to yourself regarding your strengths. Because many of us have unrealistic self-appraisal. And people think they have strengths that they do not have. Be true to yourself. In conducting your personal SWOT analysis, ask a few real friends for feedback. What do you think are my strengths? What do you think are my weaknesses? And if you have a good sense of what your strengths and weaknesses are, you are in a very good place. First, you can begin to mitigate those weaknesses, to improve concerning those weaknesses. And you always know that because I have this strength, you can always leverage those strengths. And that's what businesses do too. What businesses do, they leverage their strengths, they minimize or defend or reduce or eliminate their weaknesses. And then they turn to the external world and say, what are the opportunities presented? And you can do the same. What opportunities do I have? I'm a student of medicine. I may go on into academia and become a professor of medicine or in the field of medicine. I may become a specialist and go into medical practice. I may do this, I may do that. Even though I'm a doctor, I like to be a health medical entrepreneur. Have a fair sense of the range of opportunities. And then people easily, once you know all the opportunities available, it is easier for you to know which one you are instinctively drawn to and which ones you are likely to have the competencies to accomplish. At the same time, understand the threats that might derail you from your path. For instance, having 6 girlfriends on campus, or spending all your money on drinking beer and watching movies, or perhaps getting involved in illegal and criminal activity, or being insulting to your lecturers. It can be a threat to your career. Or not building a range of relationships across campus that facilitate your success. Being rude to your classmates may threaten your success. So, do your own personal SWOT analysis and then write the lessons or the action points that come out of that SWOT analysis. Given that I found that my weaknesses are 1, 2, 3, I think I will work on eliminating 1 this year, and then I'll work on 2, and then the 3rd one, and I'll be a much better person. Meanwhile, all the time I'll be leveraging my strengths and building them and developing them further, because I see that. And then I will be taking advantage of the opportunities I've identified and trying to be conscious about the threats that might derail me from my journey. Businesses do something called environmental analysis. I have a personal model for environmental analysis that I developed in my research. It's called SPELLS G. Social, political, economic, legal and regulatory, technology, and global. And for any business we analyze or we work with or we try to help them, we would analyze the environment. How does the economy affect them? What are the social issues they're contending with? JAPA, for instance, which is taking their skills away. The young demographics, people in the workplace, being increasingly younger and Gen Z people who have peculiar attitudes to life. How will they manage those things? How will those things affect their people? How does the foreign exchange situation affect the business? That's economic. How does demographics, that's social. Political issues, how will the next transition over the next 4 years evolve and how might that affect them? Technology, which technologies do they use in their business? Can you also do some environmental analysis? It's useful for you and it helps you understand the world more. What are the trends in the social? What are the trends in the political? What are the trends in the economy? How do those things affect you? Which opportunities do they present for you? AI, artificial intelligence, that's a big issue in technology. What might mastering artificial intelligence do for you? Etc. So, understand your environment. For businesses, they spend a lot of time after environmental analysis on industry analysis, understanding the industries in which they work. And they often use a tool called Porter's 5 forces analysis, which many strategists have now added a 6th factor complementors to the 5 forces in the Porter structure. Try and understand any industry you are interested in and use this Porter's framework on a rudimentary basis to the extent of your understanding. The Porter first talks about looking at substitutes to that industry. He talks about looking at the rate of entry into that industry. It talks about looking at the bargaining power of suppliers to that industry and the bargaining power of buyers from that industry. Then the sixth force that was introduced is complementers. Which industries or companies complement the work of that industry? And finally, the rate of competition. If you ask yourself, if you apply that basic framework, you will understand any industry that you are proposing to get. And it will give you insights at an early age that will position you ahead of your peers. So you can also apply that industry, that framework, to the industries that you are considering that you might want to enter, and have some insights into what you might expect and into the medium to long term prospects of that industry. There's a principle that I want to discuss now that is very important. It's called in strategy generic competitive strategies. There are three of them, but I'll focus on two that I think are relevant to a young undergraduate or a young graduate people. I'll focus on differentiation and I'll focus on focus. I'll skip cost leadership because I think that one might only be remotely relevant. You have to be a differentiated brand. You cannot be a commodity. Who is a commodity? Somebody who has generic skills, who is not different, who does not have the air of quality and excellence, who is a commodity brand. Everybody else can do everything he can do, and he can only do things that everybody else can. He has no special skill. He has no special brand. He has no special reputation. He has no achievements. He has no discernible strengths that society can leverage. That's a commodity brand. You do not want to be a commodity. You must be differentiated. You must have a brand, a uniqueness, something that only you can bring to the table. That gives value in the marketplace and in the workplace. And so you must build a differentiated brand. The other concept that I think is relevant to you is focus. Be focused. First, as an English word, be very focused. But also have things that engage your attention. Don't do everything. You're the one playing football, you're the one in the drama team, you're the one in the kung fu club, you're the one in everything. Choose your focus and put all your energy in those things that you've chosen. And make sure you excel at those things that you're focused on. Then you will be a differentiated brand. And you will have value in the marketplace. I will discuss two more concepts. The concept of blue ocean. And all of these things I discussed, Google them and read more about them and find out about them. You know, life is often a red ocean of everybody competing, fighting, sharks eating shark, shark eating fish, and with the blood of people flowing in the river and making the ocean red. And this concept, also a business concept, is applicable to individuals as well. Find unique things to master such that you'll be operating in a blue ocean. You'll be operating in a uncontested space. Everywhere you are, there will be only few of you, or maybe only you alone, that has that type of competence that is needed. And that gives you superior advantage as you now become a master in fields that are specialized. So plan your life to operate in blue oceans, in clean spaces, in specialized areas, in areas that are not overcrowded. Don't acquire generic skills that position you in the vast marketplace. There are 5,000 of you that apply for that thing because there are 5,000 people who are qualified for it. Master skills that make you a select few, that position you in uncontested space, that position you to excel. The final concept, of course, I've alluded to it a few times, is execution. Strategy without execution is just a document. If you write a strategic plan and you don't do it, it's a document that is fit to be filed away somewhere. It is your actions that produce a strategy. Strategy is not what you say, it is what you do. So there's no point listening to me, hearing about all of these concepts and not doing anything about it. Or getting fascinated with it for just 48 hours and say, yes, I'm going to have my vision, my strategic intent, I'm going to do this, I'm going to acquire specialized skills, and then forgetting about it after 1 week or 2 weeks. Strategy without execution is nothing. No work done. So you must develop your own plan based on the conversations that we're having, based on all of the concepts I've informed you about. Fortunately, this is recorded as a video, so you can play it over and over again. You can learn about those concepts, you can Google about them, read up about them. But then you must execute. Once again, I say, strategy without execution is nothing. So I conclude, young individuals, particularly my friends of LinkedIn Local Ife at this conference, and anyone who will encounter this video, you will benefit by applying all of the concepts I've discussed. You can plan your future. You can create a pattern of beneficial choices and behavior and decisions early in life. You can handle the uncertainty of the future by thinking carefully about the things you do, by investigating, researching, finding out more, seeking out networks, relationships, and getting information, getting into relationships of mentorship and learning. You can turn the internet into your real friend, not for gossip, not for football only and for frivolity, but for acquiring the information you need for your future. You can reflect on the environment and on industries in an analytical manner based on some of the concepts I've discussed. You can discern what the trends are in all of the things that concern you and what the discontinuities are. You can position yourself to benefit from all of this knowledge. You must be focused, you must be committed, you must be disciplined, and you must make it easy for the market, the world, to trust you by your values, by your integrity, by your commitment, by your earnestness and straightforwardness. You must be differentiated. You cannot afford to be a commodity. You must be a brand which you must build and nourish carefully. You must not be a commodity brand. You must invest in your competencies and skills, not just the things lecturers tell you in class, but competencies and skills that can give you that unique positioning in the marketplace. in the world. You must be careful about your brand and your reputation. You must not endanger it. You must protect your integrity. I close by reminding you, strategically position yourself. Build your profile, your own person, who you are, what you can do. Build your network of relationships. They will always come in useful. And build your brand. Thank you very much.